It's not a nice place historically because of what has happened there. Some of the most famous Guyanese have been murdered there. The famous sinner Dolly Bash, a bank manager from Citizens Bank, and the warden of the Bihari dormitory at UG. I went to see the monument site yesterday. Technically, it's not on Carifesta Avenue unless they build an access road. You will have to get it from the Seawall Road. Now, if you know that area closes off from 9 in the night to 4 in the afternoon. That's because it's dangerous to be there. I've witnessed some unsavory things there. 9 o'clock in the evening when the lovers leave and people go there to jog at 4. Now that doesn't gel with the minister's statement that the monument was located for 2 reasons there. One, it encroaches on the football field. That is a blatant fiction. There are 5 football fields in close proximity to parade ground that are daily used and not the football ground or parade ground. I can name them. GFC, GCC, the National Service Sports Ground, the St. Stanislaus Sports Ground, and the National Park. Every day those places are used as football field. Parade ground is nationally known as the basketball court, and that is what it is utilized for. There is no truth that an erection on that place will displace a football field. The second thing, which is even more abominable, is the minister saying you locate a monument where it's in an attractive area for people to see. My God, the Seawall Road is not an area inhabited by people. It's a dangerous area. Now, that is in further contradiction with 2 other developments. The Arya Samaj has decided to build a monument to Dr. Jagan, and the government agreed it will be in either one of 2 sites, Parliament or the Temeri Airport. And there was no suggestion as to where Dr. Jagan's monument should be located. Secondly, Dr. Jagan's monument itself is in Port Morant, where he grew up and where he had his formative years. All of that run counter to where you're going to put the 1823 monument. One pond was rejected. If Martin Carter, with due respect, he was a great poet, if he could have been laid there, the argument was the same for Philip Moore. After Philip Moore's burial site was denied, I heard the main opposition APNU spokespeople saying, based on what happened to Philip Moore's site, there should be the formation of a national cultural body across party lines, across cultural lines, to make these decisions. The People's Parliament would like to ask this nation, what has become of the efforts for that formation? Are the Guyanese people going to allow Philip Moore thing to just go like that? Then a monument to be put in a dark area of the Seawall Road. What is next? As the mayor said, this is not a desecration only of the African people's psyche. It's a desecration of the national psyche. And the People's Parliament want to ask the Guyanese people not to let this matter go the way the Philip Moore location site went. We hope that we could deter the sighting of that monument. Thank you.
Knowledge is power. A BBC reporter in your position would have come here equipped with information, so all that the sisters and the brothers said would mean something to you. It means nothing to you. It's not your fault. It's the fault of the education system, but you're intelligent young people enough to overcome that hurdle, that massive disadvantage you've been put to. Knowledge is power. And I urge you to read about your history. Understand what took place during the colonial days. Understand Iberians came here. We say Portuguese, but that was a mistake. Or the Chinese came here, or the Indians came here. Why earlier Indians objected to being called full men? Any of you know that? Not in history. The first Muslims landed here on the slave ships had already been indoctrinated by Islam in West Africa, the Fulani tribe. So when the Indians came here and the Europeans saw them practicing Islam, they called them fullers. And the Indians quite properly objected because what you were doing is calling them black people. All this work. Know your history and overcome this propaganda by NCN to pornographic, because people, young people who are not properly educated are then the victims of the very people you think want to help. You can then be manipulated. Read Freddie Kassoon every week. I think he was every day, I don't know how he does it. I mean, I'm not being facetious. He has said things against me quite justifiable. But we need to know the truth. Forgive me, but I think I don't want to miss the chance of these bright young people going in the right direction.
By the same token, young members of the media, there are no stupid questions. So even if you want to ask a question now and you feel a bit shy of it, it might actually open up a discussion and tell us where we need to go next. So please feel free to ask any question at all.
Based on the South argument for the monument being permanent, why not the 1763 monument being burdens after the 1763 embedded in the burdens?
Can I answer that?
Can I start?
That is wonderful. Okay. The reason the 1763 monument is well placed is because coffee, and not coffee, because coffee is how the British misspelled his name. It's K-O-F-I, which means born on a Friday. He's Ghanaian and of the Akan nation. So that's the first thing we need to get right. The second thing is that revolution of 1763, he was thinking nationally. It started in Berbice, but what he was doing was controlling Berbice with his government and then coming to East Demerara. That was the entire focus. So even though he was murdered, because his focus was uniting and coming in to Demerara, to the East Coast, the powers to be at that time felt it was only fitting that his monument be where he wanted to apply it. So that is why that is there. Now coming to the parade ground, the insurrection, the revolt was planned, and you had people coming from as far as Makumba, Haika. There's 55 plantations were involved. They were coming all the way to, come down to the city to say we need our freedom, we like the way we've been treated. However, most of the fighting occurred at the patches of engineering. Well, we just heard the entire history of what happened. They were massacred, and not only the 200 and something people. When that was quelled, they went onto the plantations and killed another 600. The toll was over 800. Then they were rounded up, who they thought were the ringleaders, and brought them to the parade ground, where they were murdered, decapitated, and etc. Now, that is the reason why the parade ground is significant, because you can't stick the monuments around where they place the heads onto the slopes. So the one spot, okay? But that's the significance. I don't know if anyone else would like
I think
monument being sited at Parapest Avenue, if the other African organization had responded to the ministry invitation for responses on where the monument should have been sited? You think it could have been avoided and they wouldn't have placed it there, but would have responded positively to you and allowed it to be sited on parade ground?
No. The minister used the medium to inform the nation that he wanted to place the monument somewhere else. No, we had already made a decision, which was closed, that it should be at parade ground. Reaction. He never came to us and said, look, we have some issues about parade ground. They never called. Though in the advertisement he claimed that after wide consultations, and no consultations, they choose 4 places, and he wanted some suggestions as to which of the 4 places. So if you start something off with a lie, how can you further it? But by lying, which is what they are doing now.
Let me add to that. It is obviously a diabolical plan. I didn't see that advertisement myself. But there are 2 facts. One, Sister Pender reminded us on the 1st of August, as the sun was rising, coins were buried by the then president. Nobody has repudiated that fact. Coins were buried there with the undertaking that the monument will go there. Jack Dio, Gail Tisher, James Rose, your humble servant, Keith Booker were among those present. And secondly, last year was designated the year for the African people by the United Nations. At several meetings, this issue of the monument came up. And at no time was that there was something wrong with the location. So why advertise in the first place? It is wicked, and had a design for a monument which was on display, at which the government officials were invited at the parade ground, I think in
2005.
Huh?
2005.
2005. All this is the process. The president was invited, I know he was. The minister was invited to be present at that function when the monument, the design for the monument was displayed. They've gone and asked this boy to do it. Ivothon. We have no problem with Ivothon. Ivothon was made popular during the PNC days, so we don't have a problem. But it's a case of using one against the other. It's an old imperial trick. And it's so sad. After the end of slavery, after the end of indentureship, we should have a government that's employing the very tricks and tactics used for centuries by our imperial overlords. It's a pity. It's unbelievable.
I'd like to say something. I'd like to respond to that question. I'd like to respond to the question in a few minutes.
Freddie, and then Mr. Penn would like to say something.
Well, it's what the government has done is to put their own narrow interpretation to the lack of response. First of all, that advertisement was never made public. Many of us are not aware of it. But then there's a second, more philosophical answer. If you have nationally designated a site where a piece of invaluable lesson have been learned, for you to subsequently advertise and no one responded, there are 2 reasons for that. People will want not to respond because for them, the issue is a closed one. So why should we respond? And many organizations didn't respond because they probably felt it was insulting to do so. Why would I want to think about an alternative when a sword is turned, the Lord Mayor, the President are there? That's a closed issue for me. Secondly, the fact that there wasn't a response has to be interpreted that there was no rejection of the particular site. What this government has done in a diabolical way, in which human nature doesn't operate, is say that we didn't have a response. Therefore, nobody supported that site. What they have done then is change human nature in the opposite direction. People didn't respond because it was a done deal. They now say people didn't respond because they didn't want a deal. How immoral can a government of a country be?
Letters were written, no follow-up protocols. They did not write any of the culture organizations, and I'm saying this categorically. They did not write ACTA, they did not write PANAF, they did not write the All-African Guyana Council. None of the major organizations were consulted. So that alone shows you that this was a concocted plan to deceive the people of this country. And why it is so dangerous is, as the mayor alluded, we have one national radio station, one national TV station, which means that except NCN decides to put this on air, the people in the outlying areas know nothing of what is going on. We were in West Coast for BCS today. People have no idea. You go to the quarantine, they have no idea of what is going on. With such an important piece of, with such an important decision, they don't know. Bartica, Linden, nothing. So this is what is frightening, is that when you put out a statement like that, and the people in the outlying regions hear this, they're saying, well, what's wrong with these people? But they don't get to know the facts. So this is the situation.